Hello, Dani. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am just so excited to have you here. I think you're incredible, and I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our followers. So, firstly, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
My
Love
pleasure.
you and love what you're doing.
Oh, I love you. I think you're absolutely amazing. When I met Dani, um, it was because, a friend introduced me to her movement of, what she's involved in. And, you know, how do I say it? You pretty much exude confidence on the dance floor. Dani is part of a movement called the Groove Movement. Is that correct?
Yeah, the World Group Movement. Yeah.
The World Groove Movement.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Very long name.
Amazing. Amazing. And just in a nutshell, can you describe what this is, like what this movement is all about?
Yeah, so it's a dance method, a very specific concept and method that was created by this woman named Misty Tripoli from California. And it basically is a very simple, diverse, but creative movement experience. And what's unique about grooving is that um, anyone can really do it. And we've created, and this is my role within the movement, is to lead our master team, but also to create programming. So we've developed programming specific for kids, which is something that I've been part of for a long time, 10 years doing consulting work in Canada, going to all these different schools, grooving about 1 million kids in Ontario, which now I'm happily retired from that job, I will say. But the program still lives on and teachers are still integrating it. And I've trained hundreds of people all over the world in the kids program as well. But we've also developed programs for seniors in like chair grooving. This is really fun. And we have different areas of specialization, but literally, like, and what is so beautiful about it is that all shapes, sizes, ages, cultures, it really doesn't matter because it's so, you can have a professional ballerina on the floor and someone who's never danced before. And grooving is so accessible to those that have fears around dance and would never go to a choreography class, would never go to a technical class, even find Zumba to be difficult because it's really about the repetition. Because what we believe is that through the repetition, you get into a meditative state. So there's this individual, like kind of internal focus of the class, which is this meditative part where we really guide our participants to go inward and to connect with their breath and feel the music, feel the movement, right? This is more about what grooving is about than versus like how does it look. We don't care what it looks like, and we say that, and I'm sure you remember from our classes, we don't care what it looks like, you can't get it wrong. So that individual internal aspect of it, along with this community aspect where we bring in a lot of interaction. So we get people dancing together. And this fosters a really cool sense of community. And that's what we've seen over the years as we've grown our tribe, which is in over 40 countries. So that's what I've been doing with Misty over the last 5 years, is growing the movement through teaching trainings and delivering workshops, developing programming and all that stuff. So we have over 600 certified facilitators, so people that have actually gone through the whole facilitation and certification process. And we're growing a lot in Europe, in Denmark, and Germany, and all over the place. You'll find groovers. So it's turned into a movement. You know, this idea of like, oh, we're going to take over the world, and
Through
then
dance.
it's been really cool. And I would say also, just to finish talking about how grooving is different, is that, you know, it's with along with the simplicity, it's also the facilitation. Like when you have a really good facilitator facilitating you to break free of judgment, this is a really big part of it, because it's our judgment that holds us back from expressing ourselves creatively, especially in a group dynamic. By ourselves, it's a lot easier, right? But like in a group setting, it's hard to break free of those judgments. And so when you're guided, when you're facilitated by someone that's constantly reminding you, have you tried this? Could you do it that way? What about this? Like giving you creative options, and also reminding you of the truth that you can't get it wrong. There's no right or wrong way to dance. Nobody actually cares what you look like. We all think we're so important, but nobody is actually paying attention to us in the end.
So
There's a
true.
me, right? What did you say?
No, it's so true. It's 100% true. And I can really relate to that because when I went to go see you, when you had this beautiful, dance that you put together, or not dance, how would I say it?
Class, yeah.
Class. When you had this beautiful class that you put together, um, I was in a spot, in a place where I wasn't as confident to just break free. I wasn't feeling as comfortable within my own shell. And so here I was ready to challenge myself and, put I guess, my trust and my faith in you, the facilitator. And I want to dance. I love dancing. And yes, it's so easy to dance in a room, or it's so easy to be all sexy at a club and dress up, and how do I look, and I'm getting attention from guys. And so what I'm so used to from so many years of conditioning, or when I was younger taking a little bit of ballet or jazz or certain structure and how it has to look in order for you to then get the applause at the end of it all, that you did it right at that right step at that right time, whatever it may be. But when I was in your class, I was all in my head, which is the way we should not live our life. And it was all in my head. And there I am in, this room with a bunch of people I didn't really know. I had one friend with me, and you, who just, that you exude this confidence and this beauty and sensuality, but strength, depending on what she leads us through, guys. Like, it's amazing. And then what's so beautiful about this movement and this style, and what you guys have created, is that you really do get out of your head. And I think I think what I would love for you to explain more thoroughly to people is how it works. Because how I can lightly explain it is, you'll have like a rhythm, like, and you'll tell us to do step, step, drag. And so
Mhm.
you want us to creatively do it in our own way. But what's so incredible is that while we're all doing it in our own way, so I guess you want us to use different angles, different, sections, higher, lower, and movement. What's so amazing is that I get to do it because I love walking to the beat of my own drum personally. So what I love and appreciate is the fact that while I was expressing myself, I was still in community and looking around me, and everyone was doing like the same thing but differently. And that felt so incredible. So once I got out of my head and once I challenged myself and I said, who cares? If you turn off the music and you look around, we all look silly anyway, but
Yeah.
it feels so good. So I would love for you to explain further what that is all about, how you explain it, how you teach people.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's like the foundation what you're bringing up, because um you can't go there and have that like super yummy, delicious, ecstatic, if you will, experience if you're in your head, right? And this is the whole reason why grooving exists, is to get out of your head and into your body. So number one, it's the kind of music that we choose, because everything that we do in groove, all the movements, it's not like we come up with moves and then we try to find a song. Is that we literally have the song, and the song tells us exactly what to do. And that's why when you listen to it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, right, it just makes sense to do that at that part, and everyone can get into it. So it's the simplicity of the movement, like I mentioned, but also that connection to that musicality. It has to make so much sense that it's like obvious, right? And so once people can, like, we first teach, because there's that element of teaching where we're first teaching them, our participants, and unifying the group, and we'll say the rhythm or the movement pattern over and over to bring that kind of connection, and everyone gets it. Then we start really facilitating. So then we start asking them, how can they play with it, how can they be creative with it? And of course it depends on the song. Some songs are super external and creative and playful, where we're interacting with each other, and then everyone, as soon as people interact, smiles, right? So it's like really paying attention to the little tiny things that help people overcome fear, and connection is one of them. Like getting them to connect with somebody else, even though a lot of people would say, oh, I'll never connect with people dancing, that scares me. But as soon as they actually experience it and embody it, layers break down, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've experienced it. 100%.
Totally. So it's
100%.
it's the repetition, and it's that connection, that musicality that is so important. But also it's really being present with your group and seeing, okay, well, what do they need? Are they like, because you can tell your body talks, right? Although it's a slippery slope, because you don't want to, as a facilitator, you don't want to be judgmental and assume, make an assumption. And it's happened to me a lot of times, actually, where I thought like, oh my goodness, this person is not having a good time in my class, just by their body language. And then afterwards they come up to me and be like, I've never felt so liberated. And I was like, really? Because you didn't really look liberated. So it's also checking ourselves out too as a facilitator, to like observe and be present with people, but don't assume that
Amazing.
we know what, do you know what I mean? Because
100%. 100%.
everyone is welcome. And so everyone's at a different place. And that's really, I think, the most magical and beautiful thing about Groove is that we're not exclusive. It's not like you have to look a certain way or be a certain type, and you see this in, like, everyone in Zumba looks the same. Everyone, and I'm not trying to bash other
No, no,
modalities at
no. Yeah,
all.
yeah.
And everyone that goes to like ecstatic dance looks the same, but literally you come to Groove and we're all different. We all look different. We all dress differently. We're all very different. And that's kind of like, we do have this slogan, we're united and unique, meaning that like it doesn't matter, because we just see these as meat suits that we flop around in, and we connect in a soul way, really.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also remember that there were kids there. There was a mom there with her two kids, I think maybe aged, I don't know, 8 and 6 or something like that. I don't recall, but it
Mhm.
was so incredible. And to see the child, the inner child come out, and they're so free. And then they're running around like dancing like a fairy, and they're just so into it. And I remember the mom being so hippie and confident and just, free. And I'm like, wow, that was just so motivating as well for me to break free, because I know that's in me and I wanted to at the time. And then, to challenge yourself. And so to come together in this group setting, and to do just that together and to see other people where they're at. And as you said, as a facilitator, you're like, oh no, like that person, I wanted them to come out of their shell and they didn't, but then later they'd give you the feedback that they did. It's so interesting, because depending on where they're at in their life, maybe they had this corporate job and they're like, or they were told their whole life, be serious, be serious, be serious. And now they're like, so they're more rigid maybe, but like for them to make a movement like this, that was the most challenging thing for them in that moment. And like the fact that you brought that out and you facilitated that just must be so heartwarming. And that's just amazing, Dani. That's
Oh,
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And
I
and I
know,
also
like, yeah. No, tell me, sorry.
no, please, if you have something, yeah, you wanted to share.
No, I wanted to add on what you were saying about the types of movement, because it is a diverse kind of class, right? Like we will play with all different styles of music. So we're not just a Latin class, or we're not just a hip hop. We really like to play with everything. And the reason why we do that is because we want, I mean, some things are uncomfortable, right? I mean, we all have our comfort zone, and then, oh, this stuff not in our comfort zone, is outside of it. But the whole idea to play with it, you kind of disassociate yourself, your persona, your ego from that, right? You're like, okay, well, I'm just playing with it. So it's not, you can put on like a little alter ego, you know what I mean? And just kind of play the role. Like it's a little bit of theater work. I usually tell my kids that I work with, my teens especially, that have barriers around like, oh, I can't be too goofy and ridiculous, or I can't, like, literally we have exercise where we prance around like fairies or unicorns. And I do this with teens because we start to take ourselves really seriously as we get older, right? It's
Absolutely.
normal. But when we play with these lighter energies, and we play with the darker energies, and we play with, the obscurity, we play with sexy, we play with dark, like all of it, it's all part of us, right? So it's kind of addressing, I'm sure shadow work, right? This kind of looking at your shadows. It's doing that through the body, because we do
Amazing.
it through music and energy, but we don't talk about it. And that's why there's all people have these, like, literally people around the world have completely changed their lives, have gone off antidepressants, has healed themselves of all different stuff by dancing. I know. And we have tons of testimonials to show this, through the movement, because that's what we're doing. We're doing it on a cellular level
Yeah.
by moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what Danny's saying is that because we have energy and we're all energy beings and we store energy in our body, good and bad. So when she's saying at this cellular level, it's that we might have had something that like we suppressed within and it's still in us. And when you move it, you shake it, you're moving your chakras, you're releasing it. And so as a yoga, teacher, I remember when I was doing training, they say that you will have potentially people crying. And this is, in your classes, because when you wake it up, when you take something out of the body, moving the body, it's going to release it, and how to make it a safe space and how to make it normal for them to feel comfortable for them to release that. And so when you said there were different types of styles and dances and energies you play with, that is brilliant, because, and especially with teenagers, because you have the child who's in a normal setting and they had a beautiful, normal, healthy life. They're so comfortable to bring out their inner sillies, and then they're growing through teenage years. Now it's like, oh, don't be a child, be an adult. So there is where I love the fact that you are taking them to be that child, to have the inner child coming in the forefront, not to let the adult, the seriousness, the, oh no, you cannot smile, you can't be silly, you cannot play, take over, because we know where that will head. Well, that would, lead them, if you will. And
Yeah.
that's amazing, Dana. I got goosebumps when you were telling me about that, because once they see a friend do it who's maybe more confident, or a cooler girl in the school, or a cooler guy, then they'll be like, okay, I can do it too, right? Because I'm sure you see that, right? I'm sure you've seen that.
Totally.
That's
Totally.
amazing.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing is to not force it and just let them make their own choice, because like you said, we get inspired and motivated to do things by other examples, right? So nobody likes to be told what to do. So if somebody's like, do this and do it now and enjoy it, it's like, no thanks, I'm gonna do the opposite.
I think that's you and I, because we like to
Yeah.
walk to the beat of our own drum. But I think if you really think about it, think about how many people do want to be told what to do before they realize at the deeper core and they've done the
Yeah.
shadow work, that it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can think for myself. But you're
Yeah.
right. It would be nice if that then comes up and says, wait a second, come to my class, be free, and
Yeah.
I will lead you through certain rhythms, but
Mm-hmm.
you are going to have the choice to express that in your own way. And you're now giving them that. So I think that's why when maybe you've seen someone who might be rigid, right? Maybe that's the person that is enjoying, quote unquote, being told what to do. But now Dani is saying, hey, break free from that.
Yeah.
I might dance in this way, but look around you. Look at every single other person in this room. Look how they're dancing in their own way. And isn't that incredible? And then, they're breaking free. And that is just so powerful, Dani. But I love that you walk to the beat of your own drum. That's why I relate to you, because we need people to change this world for the better.
What to do.
What's that? Sorry?
We don't like to be told what to do.
No, I really don't. And whenever I work with people, because, I've put inner child events together in the past, and I have another one coming up. Whenever I work with different people from the Eastern and the Western, whether it's a psychologist that's going to, bring something beautiful to the event to teach people, or if it's an energy worker, I say, this is the theme. That's it. You do whatever makes sense to you. Because I want people to have that creative expression, to just create whatever they feel at their heart's core makes sense to them. And so my question to you is, knowing the different state of the world that we're in right now, currently, I know here being in Canada, you're currently where right now?
In Mexico.
In Mexico. So in Mexico, there's differences where you're allowed to get together with people, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely. It's still open. Well, we reopened. We did have lockdown last year when everyone else went into lockdown. But since we reopened in the summertime, it stayed open.
Good. Thank
I'm
God.
in the Mayan Riviera, which is one of the biggest tourist areas in the world, right? And so they're not shutting that down because a
Good.
lot of people would be out of work, and it's, yeah, would be a
Yeah.
disaster.
No, that's amazing. And the reason why I ask that is because, you know, and I've seen, and if you guys check out Danny's Instagram, it's is it Dani Nobrega?
Yeah,
Nobreja?
yeah,
Nobrega.
at 7.
7.
Yeah, Dani Nobrega 7. Yeah,
Dani Nobrega 7. If you check out her Instagram, she'll sometimes post, you know, videos of her dancing or just what like this organic movement is all about while she's on the beach with these wonderful people,
yeah,
and you see the smiles coming through. It's so brilliant. So my question to you right now is, for those that don't have such luxuries around the world,
yeah.
um how do they do that? Do they get maybe a facilitator and on Zoom arrange it with their friends? What have you been offering? What is going on? Teach us,
Yeah.
help us.
So we give free classes as the team, the Groove team, once a month. It's called Funky Friday, and if you check out the World Groove or getgroove.com, you can go to the calendar page, and there's our monthly free classes, or it's donations. So if you want to make a donation, you can, but those are all posted. And then actually on our calendar page on the website, so it's all getgroove.com, you'll soon be able to find virtual classes, because a lot of our facilitators around the world are teaching online. So I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, the calendar page will be updated with the virtual classes. So
Wonderful.
yeah, we are still offering online on Zoom.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yes, that's so important. And can, let's say somebody has, I don't know, a big milestone birthday party, can they like hire you to facilitate that for all their family and
Oh, for
friends?
sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
I do lots of stuff like that. Private parties. I did a private party, a birthday party last week, or yeah, I think 2 weeks ago. It was awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. And what platform do you use in terms of the music being able to come across easily? Like, what do you find works best?
Well, I predominantly use Spotify.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Spotify, sometimes iTunes as well. And then usually we're using, if it's online, we use Zoom.
Okay, so it's okay in terms of the sound, because you know I've noticed that, oh, the sound, if two people talk at the same time and all this, it's coming across okay for you, for
Yeah.
everybody? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So um let's go back very briefly on Danny's life. Did you study dance? Where little Danny? What did little cute Danny, you know, study, and how did you get involved in this? Like, who did you meet along the way? What's the story, and how long has it been?
Yeah, well, I did study dance before I came across groove. I always felt I was like Latin in my soul, even though I am Latin. My dad is from Guyana, so it's a West Indian country in the Caribbean. So I'm Caribbean actually more, but I felt like very connected to the Spanish and Latin cultures, and I made my mom put me in partner dancing when I was really young, like 13 or something. And it actually saved me, because I had something to do, to focus on, and excited about after school. I was not interested in high school or middle school. And it was just, those years are problematic, I think, for a lot of people. And dancing was one of the things that I really was excited about. Um, and I did that for many, many years. Like I stuck with it. My English has gotten bad in Spanish now. Um, and I did all like my examinations in the 10 dance, so the Latin in the ballroom, to get up to, the level, the status, and competitions. And I had partners for many years that we did shows and performances here, there, little things, right? But I really got into competition, and I was super hardcore with it and doing it like 20. I had these awesome, kind of crazy Russian coaches that whipped my ass like 15, 20 hours a week. But during that process, and I'm happy that I learned all that technique, but during that process, I also felt myself like, because I've always just been the type to just dance my heart out, like in my house, like I've always just loved dancing and music in general. And I just remember myself taking it more and more seriously, and becoming less and less attached like with my soul, you know, to the dancing. Cause it was like, I have to get my footwork like a quarter turn up. It just got too serious and I stopped really enjoying it. And so I actually stopped for a while. And then I ran into a girl in university who we used to dance together. We used to be part of this dance show in university. And we actually also traveled together. And I ran into her like a year later, and she's like, you know, or years later, she's like, you've got to try this new thing that I'm doing. It's grooving. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. She's like, you would love it because we used to perform together and stuff and do fun dance things. And she's like, you'd all be all about it. And so I went to her groove class, or not her class, her friend's class. And this woman named Michelle Hillier, she's the one that actually started taking the groove, because she met Misty at a conference. She actually started taking the groove into the school system because she was a dance teacher, like a dance teacher for high school. So I don't know if you can hear with the hammering in the back.
No, I can. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, totally fine. Totally fine.
Cool.
They're getting to work back there.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was distracting me a bit. And so I went to her class. And so at this time, so fast forward, I had quit ballroom Latin dancing, quit the competition, all that stuff. I was like, I'm done taking it so seriously. I was actually in grad school studying, doing my PhD in education and looking at alternative forms of learning and learning holistic forms of learning. I was really all about that, and learning indigenous ways of learning, of teaching and learning and so on. And I found her, Michelle, who was doing this. I'm like, this is everything I'm passionate about and studied, but like embodied, right? And I'm like, I'm in. So I literally jumped 2 feet in. And a few years later, I withdrew from my PhD. Like, I actually haven't finished it. I'm an ABD, all but dissertation, right? I've defended my proposal and all this stuff. So I think later I'll maybe finish it, maybe if it's important or whatever. But I really committed myself to the movement, to growing the movement, and also doing the work with kids in schools. And from that day on, I basically have been working in schools. Like, this is the first year. 2020 was the first year where I literally did no work in schools because we had the pandemic too, and I moved to Mexico. So yeah, that's my story with group.
Amazing.
It's just been it's been 10 years, it's been a decade, and
amazing.
I haven't
Amazing.
looked
And
back.
and I saw it very briefly on Instagram. So did Misty buy this property and she's starting something there? Like, what is it that she's put together?
Yeah, so Misty is basically what happened to me in 2020 is that I came to work with Misty for a week because she lives in Playa del Carmen, and I fell in love. And so I came back and met my partner, my boyfriend, in March, and then went into lockdown with him, and then moved here. So kind of moved here it's a pandemic love, right? So it's awesome. But he actually is in the whole Mayan Riviera real estate, like business a little bit. He does publicity and so on. And he found this cenote, and the cenote is 14 kilometers. So it's a cave, an underground water cave, and it's 14 kilometers long. And then the property is like 3 acres, I believe. But it used to be a Buddhist retreat center. Yeah.
Talk about the energy. Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, there's already a Temazcal, like a sweat lodge type Temazcal thing on the property. There's already some structures, but yeah, so she bought it.
Amazing.
She purchased it. It was a really good deal, and now her boyfriend actually is heading up all the building and construction, and he's super wildly creative and doing all this fun stuff. So we're doing food, like farming, and there's a huge dance floor already laid out. She's gonna have a sandbox to play in sand. There's the cenote part of it, so it's very exciting.
So then you will have maybe you'll teach there too, in terms of like new teachers coming in and out, like you'll facilitate that maybe, or what is the plan?
Yeah, well, we're thinking about it, at least to hold. I mean, it really depends on what kind of the state of the world is, and how easy people can travel and so on. But we have thought about it as a place to run like workshops and little tiny retreats. It would never be like a big retreat center or anything, but stuff definitely for our community. Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Um, so what is, I wanna just quickly cap it off with, I'm wondering what your vision is for a brighter world. Like if you could just paint the most incredible world, what do you see? Like where are the children thriving? Where are the teens, the adults? Like what is it that you envision for a better tomorrow?
Well, I think it's really interesting the state that we're in right now and the undertone of like having to distance ourselves, like socially distance, and to essentially disconnect from one another, because what I believe is imperative for health is actual connection. I think physical connection, like touching and playing and not being 6 feet apart, basically, like I think this is so foundational for our health. And that's what I was trying to do with the kids in the schools, is like bring more connection, physical connection, because that's how they also learn to love and support each other in an emotional and mental way. So I feel like we have our work cut out for us even more with this pandemic, because most of us are living more in a place of fear of like getting COVID, fear of getting sick, fear of each other. It's separating us more just with the policies and the whole, you know, how it's being managed, I guess we can say, or mismanaged, I will say, but that's a different podcast for a
Yeah,
different day, right?
totally. Yeah.
But it's yeah, so I feel like the connection part of it, and also creativity, like who knows, now that we're in lockdown, or most of the world is in lockdown and in isolation, I think people are going to come back to creativity. I think people are going to discover that more and more. But and I really see creativity as imperative for our health, because I do look at health in a holistic way, not just, it's not just what you eat, but it's the thoughts that you feed yourself. It's what you're consuming on your screens. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's the environment. You know, I know you're on the same page with me. But that's what I worry about most, is how are we gonna what does it look like when this is done and over and we're back to a new normal, where we're connecting again? Because honestly, so many breakthroughs, emotional breakthroughs, physical breakthroughs happen when we're dancing together and actually connecting. So yeah.
So if you could paint this beautiful scene of like, okay, now Dani's dream is going to come to life. What do you see? If you can just create anything, what world would you like to see? This is going to be pretty.
Oh, this is a great question. I love it.
Thanks.
Well, all of these corrupt systems would basically crumble down to the ground. And I feel that it would be something like, I really do. I think I read a book in university, I forget what it's called, but it talked about the principle of like, because obviously I believe in democracy. I believe in the democratic process. Not how it's practiced in popular politics, of course, because it doesn't really exist. However, like the principle of it. And there's a philosopher, a theorist, I forget his name, but he talks about the idea of 200 people being like a max that you can have for democracy to actually function. So what I see is that communities are going to start forming, and they're already happening, where they're conscious and they abide by conscious principles, meaning that people take care of each other. So we're not spying on each other and telling the cops on each other if we're found in a car with somebody else. No, there's actual trust and respect for our neighbors. So there's this respect, and this whole notion that I'm going to take care of you, and what do you need? Okay, you don't feel good, I'm going to bring you soup, or you know what I mean, like real
100%.
community. And that the earth is taken care of too. So it's a regenerative process, because this whole idea of like there's not enough food, there's not enough, the poverty, all these things, like these are man-made problems based on a very exploitative, old, dying capitalistic system that's going out, right? I think this is what we're seeing the ending days of this, right? It's like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
seeing it all blow up in our faces, and people are like, I don't get it. And it's like, well, actually, it's been crumbling for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see us moving into like this different, and who knows when it's going to happen, but like this different reality where we take care of each other in the land and we're living more in harmony and, you know, yeah.
That's so beautiful. That is
We're
amazing.
dancing, we're singing, we're playing, we're
Oh my gosh.
creating.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly my vision. It's just like this community, and we're drinking out of like fresh running water that we can actually drink and not worry, is this polluted? And everything is thriving, and educational systems right there, and the children are laughing, and yeah, we're doing for one another. And this whole concept of money doesn't exist. It's just acts of service and just things, free education the way it should be. We should be teaching people, not like pay me to speak my mind.
Considering everything's available online anyway now, like why isn't it free, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. No, I think it's absolutely incredible what you're involved in, and just the path that has led you to where you are right now, and knowing that what you thought you knew of dance at one point, really it started to take away your inner passion and joy, and you stopped it. You listened to your heart and your soul, and you're like, okay. And then it was like, oh, whoa, what? Yes, this is the dance that I know. This is the innate knowing. And then now look what you're involved in. Look what you're living. You're living in beautiful paradise. You're in love, you're dancing, you're making people happy when you facilitate. You choose the next song, you decide what, rhythm and how to teach it. And it's just, no matter what happens in your day, maybe something bad, you can take it out on the dance floor that night or that afternoon, whenever it is. And knowing the health benefits of releasing our emotion through the arts, and you choose
Yeah.
dance as at the forefront of it all, and that is just brilliant. And I thank you so much for existing and for doing what
Oh,
you do.
so sweet. Thank you. I really, I'm honored to be interviewed by you and to share my work and, my voice with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dani. Thank you. So once again, in order for one to get a hold of you for maybe a private, private group party, or do you even do one-on-ones? Is that
Yeah,
possible?
like
Okay.
anything. Yeah, anything
Okay.
is possible. So I
Okay.
think my email would just be best,
Okay.
Dani@getgroove.com.
Okay.
So maybe we
Okay.
can add that in.
Okay, yeah, I definitely will. And I'm just so grateful, and please thank Misty on my
Yeah.
behalf for what she has started, and on so many other people's behalves that might not get the chance to speak to her in person or online or whatever it may be. But thank you so much, Dani, for what you're doing. And because I
Thank you.
understand your title is, you're the director of.
Yeah, of the Groove Academy. It's a
Amazing.
very official, very serious job. No, it actually is.
You
No,
love what
it
you do,
actually
and
is.
that's what everybody needs to start doing. They just need to, whether they're getting paid for it or not, they need to start loving what they do. And
Yeah.
that is what we need to do to create a better tomorrow, a better today and a better tomorrow. And thank you
Totally.
for doing what you do. You're the best.
Oh, thank you, honey.
You are a sweetheart.
Thank you.